Have you ever felt like you talk a lot but no one really hears you? Have you ever wanted to do something big, but invisible fears held you back? And have you ever wondered why some people speak just once, and silence follows? Speak with purpose. Because your words shape your mind, you try to express your thoughts, but they drift away like whispers in the wind. You dream of doing something meaningful, yet your mind is weighed down by hesitation, procrastination, and invisible fears that make you miss out. Meanwhile, others, when they speak, command silence. They think clearly, unaffected by emotion. They act decisively without hesitation. What separates them from you? Not their starting point, but their self-mastery. And this isn't luck. It's a skill, a mindset refined for thousands of years by warriors, philosophers, and leaders alike. It's called Stoicism. They understood a vital truth. To master the world outside, you must first master the world within. Your words, your thoughts, your actions. And what makes them different are 10 simple yet powerful principles. This video won't just introduce them, it will help you turn them into tools of real transformation. So the real question is, are you ready to take control of yourself? If your answer is yes, let's begin. Speak with purpose, because your words shape your mind. There's always that one guy at the bar. After a few drinks, he boasts about what he'll do, who he'll confront, and all the grand plans he'll absolutely carry out. But the next morning, as the alcohol fades, so do his words. Nothing happens. People chuckle and say, "You really talked a lot last night." But no one really listened. Words, when cheap, lose their weight. Ever met someone whose every word commands attention? They don't speak often, but when they do, everyone listens. Then there are others who ramble endlessly, always giving advice, always passing judgment. But their words fade like background noise. What's the difference? Some speak because they have something to say. Others speak because they can't stand the silence. Epictetus once said, "First learn the meaning of what you say, and then speak." It sounds obvious, but if everyone lived by it, the world would be quieter and wiser. Too often we speak before we understand our own words. We speak to vent, to fill space, to avoid silence. But do we ever stop and ask, is this necessary? A father once told his son, "Every time you say something thoughtless, hammer a nail into the fence." The boy did. Soon the fence was full. Then his father said, "Now for every time you hold your tongue, remove one nail." The boy obeyed. Eventually the fence was clear, but when he looked closely, it was filled with holes. Words, once spoken carelessly, can be withdrawn, but the damage remains. So how do we speak with intention? A simple rule: listen twice as much as you speak. When someone's talking, truly listen, not just wait for your turn. Another method: pause before you speak. In meetings, debates, or casual chats, a short breath can turn a throwaway comment into something meaningful. The most respected people aren't those who talk the most. They're the ones who speak when it matters. A general doesn't need to shout to command his soldiers. A true leader doesn't ramble. A few precise words can move mountains. Speech's power lies not in quantity, but in clarity and timing. Can you control your words? If not, can you truly say you control yourself? Those who master their speech have mastered their minds. And that begins with clarity. The ability to know what's within your control and what's not. Think clearly. Control what you can. Let go of the rest. Once you've gained clarity on what's within your control, the next lesson is this: direct your energy wisely. Not every battle deserves your attention. Choose carefully where you engage. Choose your battles. Let go of what you can't control. Focus on what you can. Self-mastery doesn't mean passivity. It means making deliberate choices about where to invest your energy. You can ignore a troublemaker on the street, but not someone truly in need. You can dismiss gossip, but not injustice, especially when you hold the power to make a difference. When you control your mind, you decide what deserves your response. And this applies not only to daily annoyances, but to life's greater challenges. Picture yourself as a traveler caught in a storm. You can stand there, cursing the rain, or you can find shelter and wait for the right moment to move forward. The Stoic doesn't waste time on what lies beyond their reach. They act with wisdom and precision. Which leads us to the next lesson: to act decisively and face challenges with courage. Because knowing what to say and what to walk away from is only the beginning. What matters most is what you do with that clarity. Act decisively. Face challenges with courage. Child learning to walk doesn't think, "What if I fall?" They just get up and try again. But as we grow older, we learn to worry, to fear failure, and worst of all, to delay. We tell ourselves we'll act when we feel ready. But if you wait for fear to vanish, you might be waiting forever. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the decision to act despite it. Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." If you want to be strong, your first step is to define who you will be. You can't wait for the perfect conditions. Imagine a soldier in battle. He doesn't have the luxury of waiting until he feels ready. When the enemy approaches, he must act. Life is no different. Opportunities, challenges, and hardships won't wait for you to feel prepared. You either act or you get swept away. Courage doesn't mean recklessness. Imagine someone standing at the edge of a cliff. If they overthink, fear paralyzes them. But if they jump without knowing what lies below, that's foolishness. The wise approach is assess, prepare, then leap. So how do you build courage? You don't need grand gestures. Start small. Speak up instead of staying silent. Try something new, even if it might fail. Put yourself in uncomfortable situations to learn how to adapt. Like a muscle, courage grows when tested. It's hard at first, but it gets easier. The paradox of fear: avoiding it only makes it stronger. But when you face it, you reclaim your life. Think of David and Goliath. A boy stood before a giant, not with brute force, but with faith and courage. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and sound mind. If fear isn't what God gave you, why let it rule? Now think, what's something you've been avoiding because of fear? What if you faced it today? You don't need to become fearless overnight, but you can choose to act with courage right now. And when you do, you'll realize the strength was always there. It was just waiting to be awakened. Have you ever had to overcome fear? Share your story. Your experience may be exactly what someone else needs. And if Stoic wisdom is helping you see life more clearly, stay with us. The power of silence. Not every battle deserves a response. Now that you've learned the strength of silence, the next essential skill is this: training your mind to think critically. Master critical thinking. Don't instantly believe everything you think. Have you ever been absolutely convinced about something, only to discover later that you were completely wrong? Maybe you once believed someone didn't like you, only to find out they barely even noticed you. Or perhaps you doubted yourself, thinking you weren't good enough, until you finally tried and performed better than expected. That's why the Stoics wisely remind us, don't believe everything you think. Not because you're foolish, but Because the mind often deceives you in subtle ways. Picture this. You're driving down a dark road and suddenly see what looks like a dog lying in the middle of the street. Heart pounding, you slam on the brakes, but as you approach, you realize it's just a plastic bag blown by the wind. Your mind screamed, "Danger!" But reality said otherwise, and this isn't limited to driving. It happens inside your mind every single day. How many times have you assumed someone had bad intentions, only to realize they were just going through a rough time? How often have you dreaded something, imagining the worst, only to find it wasn't nearly that bad? The mind is like a projector. It doesn't show reality as it is, but rather a version colored by your emotions, biases, and old habits. So before you accept a thought as truth, learn to challenge it. Where is this thought coming from? Is there actual evidence? Or is it just emotion? Here's a simple mental exercise. When a strong thought arises, don't believe it right away. Question it. If you think, "My boss doesn't like me," ask, "Do I have real proof? Or is this just a feeling?" If you tell yourself, "I can't do this," ask, "Is that true? Or am I just afraid of failing?" Wisdom isn't about knowing the most. It's about having the courage to question your own assumptions. As the Bible says, test everything, hold fast to what is good. Don't blindly trust something, even when it comes from your own mind. Examine it. Keep only what truly holds value. That's how you think clearly, speak with purpose, and act with power. And if you've made it this far, give yourself some credit. Not everyone is willing to examine the way they think, but you are. Every part of this video is a puzzle piece helping you build a sharper, stronger mindset. Don't stop here. In the next section, we'll dive into how to apply critical thinking to your relationships, work, and everyday life, so you not only think clearly but live intentionally. If this resonated with you, leave a simple like, not just to mark this lesson in your journey, but to help others grow as you are growing right now. Fearless action. Courage is acting. While still afraid, when you act despite fear, you open the door to your own strength. But if you truly want to influence others, if you want to make an impact, you'll need more than courage. You must master the skill of saying things that move people to act, not just admire. The art of persuasion. Speak to influence, not to impress. People often say that words are weapons, but without skill they're just dull blades. We speak every day, but how often do our words truly make a difference? How often do we speak just to be heard, rather than to inspire change? A wise person doesn't speak to boast, but to motivate. If your words lack purpose, they are merely noise. Imagine you're pitching an idea to your co-workers. If you just talk about your own achievements, will they truly listen? Likely not. But if you help them see themselves in your story, if you put them at the heart of the problem your idea solves, that's when your words gain power. Words should not be mirrors reflecting yourself, but light guiding others. Stoicism teaches us every thought, word, and action must serve a higher purpose. Epictetus once said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish in things that don't matter." True wisdom often means knowing when to be silent, rather than speaking just to sound smart. So before you speak, ask, is this necessary? Does this serve a purpose? If not, sometimes the wisest choice is to say nothing at all. A real leader doesn't speak often to be respected. They choose their words as a jeweler polishes a diamond. Remember Martin Luther King Jr.'s legendary phrase, "I have a dream." He wasn't talking about himself. He was painting a vision that millions could see themselves in. The greatest speakers aren't the best talkers. They are the ones who move people to act. So ask yourself, when you speak, what are you trying to make others do? Today's world is drowning in meaningless words. Social media is an ocean of noise. Everyone wants to be heard, but few have something worth saying. When Jesus said, "Let your yes be yes and your no be no," he wasn't just teaching honesty. He was emphasizing clarity and intention in speech. If it takes too many words for people to understand you, perhaps you don't fully understand yourself yet. Try this simple exercise. The next time you want to express something, pause and ask, if I only had 10 words to say this, how would I phrase it? This sharpens your clarity and leads naturally into the next lesson, the art of simplifying. When life feels too complicated, perhaps it's not life itself that's hard. It's the weight of too many unnecessary things. Thoughts that drain you, expectations that burden you, responsibilities you never needed, all cluttering your mental space. So the question is, will you keep dragging those burdens along or start cutting them away to focus on what truly matters? If you're ready to simplify your thinking and take more purposeful action, type "simplify to amplify" in the comments to mark this moment of clarity. Number 9. Self-discipline, the power of intentional action. There was once a boy who set his alarm for 6 a.m. every morning, determined to wake up early and study. But each time the alarm rang, he hit snooze and told himself, just 5 more minutes. 5 minutes turned into 30, then an hour. By the time he finally got up, it was already 7:30. He rushed out the door, muttering, "Tomorrow I'll definitely wake up early." But the next day was always the same. The issue wasn't the alarm, it was that he lacked intention. He let fleeting emotions, sleepiness, hesitation, make decisions for him. A lot of people live the same way. They say they want to be fit, but eat carelessly and skip every workout. They say they want success, yet spend hours scrolling social media. They say they don't have time, but waste it on things that add no real value. The problem isn't ability, it's the lack of discipline to act with purpose. Here's a tough truth. You can't wait for motivation. Motivation is unreliable. It shows up today, disappears tomorrow. If you only act when inspired, you'll stay stuck forever. Disciplined people act regardless of emotion. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work as a human being." You don't wake up because you want to. You wake up because it's what must be done. So how do you take intentional action? First, eliminate the mindset. I'll do it when I feel like it. Replace it with, I'll do it regardless of how I feel. A soldier doesn't wait to feel brave. A parent doesn't wait to feel motivated. A responsible person doesn't let emotions run the show. Second, make discipline part of your identity. Don't say, I'm a procrastinator, I need to change. Say, I'm someone who acts with purpose. When discipline becomes who you are, it stops feeling like a chore. Third, build constraints that force action. Want to work out consistently? Get a workout partner? Want to read more? Leave books where you see them often? Want to stay focused? Block distractions. Don't rely on willpower. Design your environment for success. Your life is like a boat. Will you drift aimlessly with the current, or take the wheel, set a clear course, and row toward your destination? And when you learn to act with discipline, something amazing happens. You stop seeking approval, because once you live by the principles you've chosen, you don't need anyone else's validation. Now let's move forward to the final lesson, living by your values instead of chasing validation from others. After realizing that discipline frees you from needing others' approval, we now arrive at a deeper question. What does it profit a man to gain the whole world but lose his soul in the process? Number 10. Live by your values. Stop chasing approval. The Bible poses a powerful question. What shall it profit a man if he gains the whole world but loses his own soul? A question that goes beyond faith, straight into the heart of how we live. Imagine this. You finally get the job, the status, the applause. Everyone admires your life. But at night, when it's just you and your thoughts, you feel empty. Because you've built a life that looks amazing to others, but feels meaningless to you. Validation is a trap. When you care too much about how others see you, you stop living for yourself. Your life becomes a performance. And the script? It's written by someone else. True happiness isn't found in being seen. It's found the moment you no longer need to be seen to feel worthy. So what if you live by one simple principle? Do the right thing, even when no one is watching. Choose the job you love, even if others don't get it. Wear what feels right, even if no one compliments you. Live a life so grounded in purpose that even if the spotlight fades, your soul stays lit. We've just explored 10 core Stoic principles to speak with intention, think with clarity, and act with strength. But knowledge alone changes nothing. Application does. Life won't wait for you to feel ready. Challenges will appear unannounced. Opportunities will pass in a blink. What truly matters isn't how much you know, but how much you apply. So from this moment forward, pause before you speak, reflect before you decide, and act as if your life depends on it, because in many ways, it does. Each choice, no matter how small, is shaping the person you're becoming. If this video gave you something of value, don't forget to hit like. It helps the channel, and it anchors this lesson in your mind. Leave a comment. Your insights may spark someone else's transformation. And if someone in your life needs to hear this, send it to them now. More empowering content is coming. I'll see you in the next video.